All things considered, I thought it was this was a very new experience for me coming into a slam. Obviously, being seeded, I think having some higher level of expectations on myself. Felt like I went out and I like I've always said, if I can feel like my preparation is consistent with what it has been for the previous really 12 months going into tournaments, I'm taking care of my body. All of those things are right. I can go on court and win or lose. I can walk off with my head high. I felt like I did that. Was able to get one win in the first round. And today, I think Benjamin just played exceptionally well. He played the bigger points better than I did. But all things considered, I feel like I can take this and kind of move on to hopefully have a very strong end of the year. So I'm not really hanging my head too much.
Thank you. Questions, Andrew?
Andrew Jones, ESPN Landscape. Chris, you talked about it with Benjamin because he had those two tight matches with you last year, and you still were able to come through. And now both of y'all have ascended to this level that you've never been before. What for him, and especially on those key points, has improved in his game? Those are the margins.
Oh man, his serve, his clutch serving, I think it was phenomenal today. I think he was popping serves upwards. I think 129 I saw, probably hit a 130 at some point. So he's hitting his serve big. He's hitting the spots well. There's a lot of variety. And then I think on return, he does a great job of just not giving you a lot of free points. He makes a lot of second serve returns. He makes a lot of first serve returns that he gets his strings on. So you just feel like you're going to have to work for everything you get unless you're able to get an ace or an unreturnable or something like that. And I think just over the course, especially of best of five, it just kind of wears on the opponent a little bit, just knowing that things aren't going to come for free and you're really going to have to work for every single point that you get. So I think those are probably the biggest things I would say, specifically about Benjamin. And like you said, we played 2 other times and some close ones. And yeah, today he just got the better of me.
Matthew.
As you move into the fall, are there specific things that you want to work on ahead of next year? Think you'll accomplish?
I mean, there's a lot of areas of my game I think that can continue to improve. My serve can continue to get better. My consistency in making returns can always get better. My transition game can always get better. Yeah, I mean, there's not really one area I would say in particular. I think it's just kind of a progression of just improving all the areas of my game, continuing to sharpen my strengths. I think the serve and forehand are always going to be big points of emphasis for me to continue to get better, because I think that those are the things that have helped me have some success. But also getting a little bit better in the weaker areas, whether that's movement, whether that's making returns, those little things. So I just think all around I can continue to get better, and hopefully I will continue to get better going into the fall.
Okay, Chris.
Chris Otto with U.S. Open. Along those same lines, is it exciting for you to go into this phase of the season, today's loss aside, of course, but with the ranking you have, the opportunities to play in really big events, maybe some indoor courts that you really like against some top players, and more opportunity for growth and facing a lot of tough competition?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I mean, I'm going to embark on a schedule that I've never had the ability or the ranking to be able to play, and that's the European indoor swing right at the end of the year. It's something that I've seen for years. I actually called Basel and Vienna for Tennis Channel last year, so now I think I'll have the opportunity to be able to play in one of those tournaments now. So yeah, it's a super exciting time. I love indoor courts where I really enjoy those conditions, and I'll be going to new cities and, like you say, ranking at a different place. So I think it's a new challenge and something that I'm going to look forward to, and I hope to make the most of it.
Andrew.
Court 17 conditions, Maria Sakkari, Rebecca Masarova, and then Sasha Zverev talked about the smell sometimes being marijuana from the stands there. Did you smell that anything today? Because that's been the perception for the court for the past few years. And your U.S. Open is not over, because you and Ben Shelton have a real opportunity tomorrow right off the bat against Stupskeef and Whitlow in the doubles. So you can talk about those two things, the Court 17 conditions, if you smelled anything today,
no,
as well as the doubles.
No, nothing today. Yeah, it's right by the park, so I can see what they're talking about, but we didn't get any aroma today. But yeah, Ben and I are set to play, I think, the number one doubles team in the world, assuming tomorrow. So that's gonna be another challenge in itself. I'm sure it's gonna be fun. We got a chance to play last week in Cincinnati. Some really exciting matches. Playing with Ben is always fun. So yeah, we're gonna look forward to going out there, and you can expect Ben to be yelling and screaming and hitting 145-mile-an-hour serves, and I'll just be there trying to play cleanup. And hopefully it's going to be a fun day. We look forward to it.
So the court not only the court 17 crowd, but this being HBCU day on the grounds, just talk about the fan love that you got and that element of just the HBCUs being celebrated here.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative that has been started by the USTA. I'm not sure exactly when it started. I know a couple years ago was the first time I noticed they started to have some of the Greeks come out, having a step show around the fountains, and that stuff that I grew up knowing about. And I think there's a lot. It's cool to be able to see those same things, whether it's the Kappas, the Alphas, the Deltas, the AKAs, the Q, like everybody kind of having, a little bit of a world stage when people are, other players are walking by asking, what is that? And I have to kind of explain to them a little bit of what the Greek life is about. Especially how prominent it is in the HBCUs. So I think it's great. I love to see it out there. I wore one of the HBCU shirts in my warm-up this morning just because I was gifted one, and I said, you know what, I think this would be pretty cool. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to have tonight. I think it's really cool that Foe is playing the night match on Ash. So I think it's going to add a little bit more excitement. But it's a good question.
Okay, Chris.
Taylor Townsend was on 17 before you and came up with a huge emotional win, and you're probably too busy to be watching it at the time, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what she's been able to do after having the baby, and really her talent level, and maybe it seems to me like there's a big breakthrough in the making for her.
Yeah, no, I was actually watching a lot of that, and that was some of the best tennis I've seen Taylor play in a long time. Taylor and I go back years, like since we were 10, 11 years old, and we still train in Atlanta a lot of times at Georgia Tech together. She may be on one, we may come at different times, but a lot of times we'll kind of overlap, and I'll get to see her work and just to see how diligent she's been and the work that she's put in since having the baby, and how she's embracing both roles. I've seen Aiden come out to the courts with her, running around, swinging a racket. But she's still very diligent about her training and her preparation and her nutrition and her strength and conditioning. She's so devoted to both parts of her life right now, and I think that's really, really cool. And I think it's could be a good reason as to why she's having the success that she's having. There's so much structure there, and she, I think, really has a new perspective, and I think she's really enjoying it right now. So to see her playing that well, to see the crowd really get behind her, to see the emotion that she's having, I've kind of I know Taylor well, so I know kind of the things that, her career has taken her, the ups and the downs, and I've kind of always been there as a friend. But to see that energy that she was showcasing on 17 today, right before I went out there, was really, really cool. So I hope she keeps it going, man. She deserves it. One of the most talented players I've ever been on the court with. And yeah, really excited for her.
Okay, Matt, last question, please.
Yeah, Chris, what's it like to have the financial security that you've earned this year? And I'm curious if this is the first time in your career where you have felt somewhat financially secure, or even if you do, or do you feel financially secure?
Yeah, I do. I think throughout my career, I've been fortunate. I think obviously throughout my career, I've been able to have a couple wild cards into slams that have helped with a little bit of financial security. It never, I would say, measured up to what things are like now. But before, I was always okay. I was always, 2017, I got a main draw wild card in singles and doubles. The next year, I got the Oracle, the ITA U.S. Tennis Award. So that was in 18, 19. I got another U.S. Open wild card. 20, I got a wild card. Like, I was always able to kind of manage without stressing too much. But I think the one thing that's different now is that I'm a lot more professional and diligent with my team. And at this point, it's just my coach, Ruan, and knowing that the stability for covering him. He's going to be there at any tournament that I need in every single week, and I don't have to worry a second time about it, whereas that's probably something that I had to worry about in the past, where maybe I had to share a coach for a couple weeks, or maybe I would use a USTA coach that was there, and it's tough to really get that continuity when you're kind of hopping around from different coaches. So I think the financial security now is a lot better than it ever has been, but I've always been okay. I think now I'm doing it. I'm better in a more professional mindset or a more professional situation or setup. And it feels good, to answer your question in short. It feels really good to have that stability there.